Now that may explain why the style has spread all over the country. New York pizza lovers know about DeFara in Brooklyn, where owner Domenico DeMarco personally makes every pizza by hand, and the wait can be as long as 2 hours. Or Louie and Ernie's famous house-made fennel sausage pizza in the Bronx. But you can find this style of pizza all over the country. And it's being done successfully in pretty much every major city. In Tampa, ex-New Yorker Rick Drury adds a little honey to his handmade dough at Precinct Pizza. It's so popular that Taylor Swift once placed an order for $3,000 just for her staff. And Jay Jerrier started the popular Zoli's New York Pizza Tavern in Dallas a couple of years ago. It's famous for its grandma pizzas, cooked in square pan just like Sicilian, but with a thinner, crispy crust and tomato chunks in addition to the sauce. Now, he's always quick with a joke, and Jerrier says his secret ingredient is unicorn tears. And at Verasano's Pizzeria in Atlanta, Bronx-born owner Jeff Verasano uses a sourdough starter for his crust and adds a secret blend of Italian herbs to his margherita pie. How good is Verasano's pizza? Bon Appetit has said it could be the most delicious pizza in America. Now, meanwhile, at Vito's Pizza in West Hollywood, California, size does matter. And a note on the menu reads, the pizza comes in only one size. It's big. But how big? 18 inches, which is a fairly typical size for a New York-style pizza. And Vito's owner, Anthony DiDonato, gets his crisp, thin, golden brown crust from customized deck ovens using stones imported from Italy. Now, there's no question about it. There's a real demand for New York-style pizza all over the country. To tell us more about it, we've put together a New York Pizza Dream Team who's going to explain what New York means to them and what it can mean to your pizza store. So first off, we are going to speak. I'd like to introduce our speakers here. Giulio Adriani. He's a world champion, renowned master pizzaiolo who brings to the table 30 years of experience, considered one of the best pizza makers and the world's leading expert in dough and flour innovation. He's the culinary director of Neapolitan Express and a food truck-centered Neapolitan pizza concept in New York City. And also John Arena. In 1980, John and his cousin Sam left New York and moved to Las Vegas in a borrowed car, no less, to start a small business with nothing more than 2 pizza ovens, a cash register, napkin holder, and both of themselves. So since those early days, they've started the Pizza Olympics, the International Pizza Exchange, World Pizza Spinning Championships, and the National Pizza Hall of Fame. They were also named National Pizza Operators of the Year and Nevada Restaurateurs of the Year. So without further ado, I think I'm going to go ahead and introduce John Arena real quick. John, why don't you go ahead and say hello to the folks?
Thanks, Brian. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right. So, John, why don't you give us a little bit of history about yourself and go ahead and get right into it.
Okay. I'm John Arena. I began making pizzas in my family's small shop in New York in 1967. In 1980, I moved to Las Vegas, and along with my cousin, we founded Metro Pizza, which now has 7 locations, plus we have a small bakery and a wholesale distributor business for artisan breads. It's really an honor to be able to participate in this program, especially because it includes not only representatives of Italy's best flour company and tomato manufacturers, but also because it's anchored by Giulio Adriani, who I consider to be one of the most knowledgeable and creative entrepreneurs in the pizza industry. But this is a really unique opportunity to learn from someone who is world-renowned and universally considered to be one of the best in the world. For 48 years, I've been able to observe the forces of change that had offered both challenges and opportunity to pizzerias, because we know that wherever there's a challenge, there's also a hidden opportunity. I'm a 3rd-generation pizza maker. I've had a chance to learn from the old-timers, and I've seen how pizza has changed both good and bad over its history. In fact, I teach the nation's first university-level course on pizzeria concept development for hospitality students at UNLV. Class is sold out every semester. We just had a session last night where we made fresh mozzarella, really engaged students. The course includes an in-depth look at the history of pizza, and it's important for us to understand that history isn't just a hobby. History has a lot of value as long as we use the lessons to guide us to a more successful future. By looking at the past and where we've come from, we're able to understand where we're headed and have some control over what's affecting our businesses. It's important to use that history as a tool. We're not building museums, we're building pizzerias, and our goal is to make a profit and be an important part of our community. With that in mind, I think we should start by trying to understand that in spite of the many styles of pizza available throughout the world, the gold standard of pizza, the starting point of everything we do, began in Italy. We should never forget that. There's always controversy about, is pizza really Italian? Pizza is Italian to its roots. And more specifically, when we think about pizza and the gold standards of pizza, we're talking about Naples. In Campania, there's been a tradition of cooking breads that were seasoned with different herbs and olive oil dating back to the Roman times. And in fact, in the ruins of Pompeii, there are a number of stalls containing wood-burning ovens that were clearly the forerunners of the modern-day pizzeria. The tradition of what we do every day in our shops dates back over 2,000 years, and we should always try to honor that. But even with that long-standing tradition, change is inevitable. It's clear that when the first big wave of Italian immigrants came to the U.S., they were faced with a lot of hardships and adjustments. First off, Italians were the poorest immigrants to arrive at Ellis Island, and they became the lowest paid laborers in America. The average Italian immigrant came to the United States with $18 in their pocket. In spite of that, because of their heritage, they spent most of their money on food, more money on food than any other immigrant group. They stayed connected to their home country through their love of food and their connection to their culinary traditions. And even with those long-standing culinary traditions, it was inevitable that the food changed almost immediately when they arrived in the U.S. A number of factors contributed to that, including differences in equipment, availability of products, and the cross-pollination of different influences, as Italians from separate regions met each other for the first time on the streets and tenements of New York's Little Italy. That was really at the core of it. We had culinary traditions that were unique to each region of Italy, and there was no commingling in the old country because people from Campania never met people from Sicily or people from Venice. In the United States and those tenements in New York, that's where the real unification of Italy took place. And that's where the real Italian identity was forged rather than just a regional or village identity. As Brian mentioned, one of the defining characteristics of New York pizza was crispiness. And that's a quality that was a result of the equipment, such as the use of coal-fired ovens like Lombardi's and Tetono's and John's. And also the vast difference in protein content of the American flour. Another change was the use of different spices on the pizza, as Neapolitan pizza was quickly modified by cooks from other parts of Italy who were exposed to pizza virtually for the first time, but put their own unique spin on it. That's part of the real tradition of pizza, is to kind of morph and change as time goes on, sometimes for the good and sometimes maybe not so much. Fresh mozzarella, for example, didn't survive a trip from Italy, so they started to use local fior di latte. And that in itself, even if the techniques were the same, the milk was different. So we already had, right from the beginning, different flavor profiles being introduced into the American version of pizza. In the early days of American pizza, Italian tomatoes were widely used, but with the advent of World War II, they became unavailable. And it's not a coincidence that the most popular brands of American tomatoes all trace their beginnings back to 1942, right after the war started. Several American companies, the ones that we know of today, the really successful American companies that provide tomato products for the pizza industry, all started in 1942. All started in the same year because there was a big gap in the market. Italian families couldn't get tomatoes from Italy anymore, and they started to use American tomatoes. And this shift from imported to American tomatoes was a giant factor in changing the flavor profiles of American pizza. Because as the initial domestic tomatoes weren't as naturally flavorful as the Italian tomatoes, cooks started to add more spices into their pizza sauce, and it kind of snowballed from there and became almost recognizable from what we started out with. When the war ended and the demand for pizza started to spread, the American agricultural and manufacturing industries were at the height of their power, and Italy was in a post-war condition. Their manufacturing, their agriculture had been decimated. And this meant that right at the time when American pizza was starting to boom and Italian food was starting to become popular outside of Italian neighborhoods, and the demand for tomatoes was increased, the supply of Italian tomatoes, of true Italian flavors, wasn't available. And this meant that the Italian producers weren't able to compete effectively in America. Over time, the American tomato industry developed products of high quality, but with completely different flavor profiles due to the growing conditions, the canning techniques, and also the difference in the American palate. They weren't just producing tomatoes for Italians, they were producing tomatoes for Americans that maybe had a different flavor sensibility. And you know, by Italian standards, the American tomatoes, seem to be out of balance and have a tendency to have exaggerated sugars and exaggerated salt levels. The result of these variations over time were compounded and possibly moved our products, our Italian products, further and further away to the point where they're almost unrecognizable to people from Italy. Coming into the modern era, several generations of consumers grew up on this Americanized product, and to a certain extent, pizza's ability to adapt has contributed to this tremendous sustainable popularity of pizza. But I think it's time for us to recognize that a huge opportunity has developed for independent pizzerias to differentiate themselves by a commitment to quality and a return to authenticity, and still appeal to consumers who have come to recognize New York-style pizza at its highest level to be a valid expression of the pizza maker's art. I feel really strongly that the key to success for independent operators can be found in developing a commitment to quality. We have to develop the highest quality products and then charge what they're worth. I'm not a fan of the $1 slice. I think it diminishes the public respect for what we do. I mean, you have an artisan like Giulio, who's a world champion and been in the industry for over 30 years. Can you say that what he does is only worth $1? It's ridiculous, and it's also it's suicide as a business person to try to compete at that level against these chain operators that have very low quality products and have contributed to the notion that pizza is unhealthy. We have to get away from that and find our niche. Kind of stake the high ground by offering our customers the very best. And I think there's never been a better time to do that. Our next generation of guests are very savvy about food. They're interested in quality. They're interested in sustainability and authenticity. Today's customer is extremely knowledgeable, and because of travel and media exposure, is familiar with authentic Italian flavors, while still having an appreciation for the positive qualities of classic New York-style pizza. The growing popularity of authentic Neapolitan-style pizza, spearheaded by people like Giulio and with the support of Antimo Caputo, has resulted in a new generation of pizza lovers who have become reacquainted with the subtlety and the balance of real Italian flavors. And that means, to me, that there's time to bring those Italian flavors back to New York-style pizza. That grew up on New York-style pizza but now have been exposed to the Neapolitan style are ready for the best qualities of both styles to come together as they once did on the streets of Little Italy. And I believe the time is ripe for this return to authentic flavors in New York-style pizza, as a kind of a rebirth. People are hungry for that. They want that, and this is the right opportunity for us to move forward and elevate the stature of New York pizza to a new level. And really, it's just going back to our origins, rediscovering our origins, but also informed by some of the positive qualities of New York-style pizza. You know, it's a great way for us to differentiate ourselves. We don't want to be caught up in the price war, discounting and diminishing of the stature of our food. We got to remind people that pizza is not junk. Good, high-quality pizza is an artisanal product, whether it's New York style or any of the other styles. There's opportunity for high-quality products to elevate what we do in the public eye, and for operators to be able to distinguish themselves from the guy down the block who's not as committed to quality. This is the way we distinguish ourselves.
All right, John. Well, thanks for so much great information there. How do you like making your New York style pizza? I mean, does it sell really well in your place, Metro Pizza in Las Vegas?
Yeah, you know, New York style pizza, naturally, the Neapolitans have made great inroads in the last decade with their authentic style, Italian style pizza. But New York style for most people in the United States and even internationally still has tremendous appeal, tremendous interest, and it's a recognizable variation of the original. And I think it doesn't diminish the stature of one to embrace the other. You know, I think that they go hand in hand as long as they're made with integrity.
It's perfect. Well, thanks so much for that great information. We'll be hearing from John again later. If you guys have any questions, be sure to use the question function on your toolbar, and our tech guy Daniel is going to pile those and make sure everybody gets a chance to get answered. So next we're going to be going back to our speaker Giulio Adriani, as again he is a world champion, renowned master pizzaiolo who brings 30 years experience to the table. He's one of the best pizza makers and the world's leading expert in dough and flour innovation, and he is the culinary director of Neapolitan Express, a food truck-centered Neapolitan pizza concept in New York City. Thank you very much for being here with us today, Giuliano, or Giulio. I believe you're on mute. There you go. You there, Giulio?
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
there he is.
Welcome.
Perfect. So thanks so much for joining us today, buddy.
Cheers from New York.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and in Neapolitan Express and how you guys embrace New York style pizza?
Yeah. Well, at Neapolitan Express we do not make New York style pizza. We do Neapolitan style. We do it in an electric oven, so we are pretty much innovative, and this is because since the beginning we've been one of our major investors and partners has been Don Pickens with his clean energy. So my partner created this truck that was the first eco-friendly food truck with zero emission, powered by clean energy. And yes, now we're having this new innovative oven that can reach 900 degrees and can easily cook a Neapolitan style without the necessity of the wood. That makes us, of course, even more interesting for a different environment, like cities that concern about emissions, or of course malls where it's probably pretty difficult to put a wood-fire oven. But the product that we produce is pretty much an authentic Neapolitan pizza. So we are a company projected in the future, I guess.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, I make pizza since I was very young, like 13 years, and now it's over 32 years. Unfortunately, means that I'm pretty old. And yeah, I went ahead. I won some competition. Then I moved to America, and I got this. I realized that the Neapolitan pizza was exploding, as John just mentioned, like in the last decade, and probably thanks to internet, thanks to people traveling much more because the airlines are more affordable than 30 or 20 years ago, and so there is this rediscovering of what was supposed to be the original pizza back in the days, also here in America. I arrived in America, and to be honest, everybody was speaking about this New York style, and at the beginning I was very skeptical and didn't like it, and I consider it always like a gross product for my palate, because I'm used to I'm used to definitely to authentic ingredients, to quality ingredients when you can really taste the heart in the tomato, the milk in the mozzarella, and pretty simple simple combination of ingredients and toppings. So when I realized that there was, as John mentioned before, a big demand of New York style, actually I think the Neapolitan style as of now is probably around 5% market share in the United States and probably globally as well. Then I realized the potential for entrepreneur to invest and develop a product that would be of a high quality, but in a New York style typology. So together with John and with the company Caputo of the Flour, we started working developing a product that was suitable for a New York style, but keeping the flavor and tradition of an Italian product. And we started this journey together that still didn't end, but we already achieved a pretty good result in it. As also John, I don't want to repeat, but yeah, John was very right. Pizza, that nowadays is a global phenomenon. Is probably in the food industry the most known food and the only food that you can find all over the world, definitely. And originally probably also the ancestor of the fast food. Pizza is in these years acquired different typology. So beside the Neapolitan pizza in Italy as well, we have another type that's called Classica. In New York is developed New York style, Detroit style, Chicago the deep dish, San Paolo the pizza paulista. To be honest, none of those, none. And I'm speaking of, even if I take Di Fara, that's clearly, like as you expressed before, one of the best New York style slice in America, if not the best. You would have zero chance of making it in Italy. That kind of pizza would never arrive in Italy and be successful. Kind of like what happened with Starbucks. That is a global phenomenon, but in Italy we don't have one Starbucks, because as Italian we're very integralist on our ingredient, and especially tomato, cheese, flour, the way of cooking pizza, so the wood fire oven. These are all things that in Italian you're never gonna change. Let's say that's a shame. That's a shame that we arrived to this product here in America, because at the very end it's been arriving and modified in all the states just for the lack of ingredients. So of course, when there was the history of pizza is known, but after the war there was the how do you say? Sorry, my English is not perfect still. And yeah, the migration to United States versus Australia or Canada or Brazil or Argentina. Pizza makers and other people jumped on boat and arrived in these countries. And of course, what they would do? I'm Italian. I make pizza. I make pasta. And then they found themselves in trouble because they didn't find the right flour, the right tomato, the right cheese, and the right oven. So what now we work for, we say what was happening if when Gennaro Lombardi versus whatever would have found an authentic Italian tomato and an authentic Italian flour and the right oven and the knowledge that we have now for producing mozzarella back at the time. Probably wouldn't have made a pizza like this one that is shown on the slideshow. So a pizza that has all this grease floating from the margherita in the American cheese. You wouldn't find chemical in the dough that would change the color and after rush on the pizza. And it would probably have produced the pizza that would resemble totally the Neapolitan flavor, and it would definitely be more light, digestible, and total less calories if you just consider that all the calories in a slice of pizza. And this is a concern that all of us, we all have, like, oh, you know, we have let's have a slice of pizza, and women will always say, oh, no, 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 I'm on diet. While in Italy, we all eat pizza, nobody's fat. Why? Because our pizza is definitely less caloric and less heavy and easier to digest, so everybody can eat it and would be like healthy, let's say. So, and the path that I followed into this healthy process was to create a product with the help of Caputo, with the help of the Ciao tomato, and in the case of mozzarella, with other Italian producers that work in America, was to create an innovative product in the New York style environment and idea that was a product more Italianized, let's say, probably less greasy, and that would resemble totally the Italian flavor, but with the characteristic that American customers are used to finding in a slice of pizza. So we worked a lot, especially with the flour, to have a good compromise between the flour flavor, so and the crunchiness and crispiness that John mentioned before. All of these, we try to do it with a shorter cooking time because, of course, the longer we cook tomato, the longer we cook mozzarella, the longer we cook flour, there is a degeneration of, or not a degeneration is not the right word, but there is a change on the aspect ratio of the ingredient and the nutritional values of those. So this would have brought definitely to a result, to almost the same result if we would cook the pizza for 10 minutes. So we worked to have a flour that was a little bit less gluten and rich compared to what is an American flour, and the tomato that was a little bit with like more water inside and not a paste like a classic pizza sauce from United States. And mixing this together with the cooking tower about 10 minutes, we still are able to achieve crispiness on the bottom, but still a sort of chewiness and a flavor that totally resembles a Neapolitan pie, but being more sturdy and firm. Yeah, the opportunity that we did. This is an opportunity. Of course, it's going to be hard to change from day one, and it's an investment that the entrepreneur that should do in believing in bringing a different product on the table that on the long run will definitely increase their sale thanks to the lightness and the healthy product that we realize.
Definitely. It sounds like this needs to be merging between the old Italian style and kind of the new New York style that everybody's kind of grown accustomed to.
There's no merging. It's going back to origin. There's no merging.
No.
I mean, merging would be what we're trying to realize is how the pizza should have been if when all the immigrants came, they would have found the right ingredient. That's what we're trying to do.
Taking it back to Italian.
Yeah, I consider, and probably I would be cursed for this, but I consider New York style a mistake. Then it's probably a very tasty mistake. I'm the first one to eat it when I'm hungry. So I'm not saying that there's not a good product. I consider it a mistake because that wasn't the product that we wanted to do when we arrived here. So we want to do something else, and then for some reason, for a necessity, came out this product that, yes, is delicious, but then it has some downside. So we want to bring back what we wanted to create.
All right, well, thank you so much for all your information, Giulio.
Thank you.
And John,
Thank you.
We want to open this up to questions. I know, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself here? And you've been taking all these questions that have been popping up. Well, let's go ahead and start addressing these things. If you can let the speaker know who has to speak about it, or if it's both of them.
Hey, Leo Pizzeria wanted to know, will there be a PDF of the slideshow available? And the answer to that question is very easily yes. We can upload that to pmq.com/webinar. We'll get it up later on after the webinar is over.
And we will also actually put this whole recording of this webinar up on pmq.com/live in case anybody missed it or wants to go back and revisit any of these great facts.
Yeah, we've got another person asking the question, what would be a comparison of this Caputo flour toward Pillsbury flour or gold medal flour? And I'm not sure who wants to tackle that question.
Well, I think John is more appropriate because I never tried those two items. I tried other American flour, not those two.
Okay. The Pillsbury flour, of course, is a General Mills product. They're really interchangeable, and General Mills for food service and Pillsbury more common on the grocery store shelves. Naturally, one of the differences is going to be protein content, but I think that we have to consider that it's not just protein content, but also, as Giulio pointed out, digestibility. With the Caputo flour, you're going to have it's just easier, it's lighter, more digestible, and the new Caputo flours have been, for New York style pizza, have been formulated to be used in a gas oven or an electric oven. So they'll brown at a lower temperature than the traditional Neapolitan flour. So I think what you're going to get, the major difference you're going to get is more refined texture and more true flavor of the wheat. You're not going to be getting any of the flavors of the additives that are in the American flours. It's going to seem, and I know this is an overused word in the food industry right now, but it's going to seem cleaner, lighter, more digestible, and have a more natural flavor. It's really evident when you taste them side by side. The differences become very evident.
All right. Here's a great question, and I'm kind of interested to hear, because I feel like you might both have the difference of opinion on this. We have one person asking, do you believe it is possible to execute well both Neapolitan and New York style pizza within the same store, or do you believe it inefficient to attempt to use the two different cooking temperatures, flours, and cheeses?
No, it would be possible with two different ovens without any problem, but with the same oven it's impossible.
Right. I agree with Giulio. I think that they are equipment specific, especially if you want to do Neapolitan pizza at its very highest expression. It demands a different mixer, certainly different oven, slightly different technique. It really comes down to respecting the differences of the products and honoring the differences of the products and being committed. Obviously Tony Gemignani does both in his pizzerias and does both of them well.
Yep.
So it's very possible. It just takes knowledge, commitment, training, and most of all, I think it takes a dedication to using the right ingredients.
Yep.
Okay, here's kind of something that wasn't meant as a follow-up question, but makes a great one. This person asks, wood-fired and coal-fired pizzerias have been growing and popping up everywhere, but there are very few authentic Neapolitan pizza shops. Do you see room for a mixed product shop in the pizza market?
I don't believe it. Personally, this is my opinion. I mean, Tony is an exception, I guess. He tried the same concept in New York. It didn't work out. I think it depends on where, definitely, but at least for my experience here in New York or in big cities like where there is a lot of offer, I think that to be specialized is the way to conduct business. I don't like the diner idea. I don't like anything where you can have all the types, because I think that if you want to do one thing at its best, you have to dedicate all your focus on it. That doesn't mean you cannot do it. You can still do it, but I don't know. I think that the best way is that. Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I'm an eternal optimist, so I think it's possible. It's not likely, and you don't see many people doing both well. As Giulio said, it takes an extraordinary pizza maker to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think Giulio could do it. being modest.
No.
I certainly think that he could do multiple styles because he's demonstrated his ability to do that. He likes to stay focused on one thing. But if there's somebody that I could think of that could do all of the styles and do them well, it would be Giulio.
Well, it's like they say, you do one thing well, or you do several things, kind of not well. So.
Well, no. Wait, there is a difference. I agree. It can be done well, but unfortunately for me, well is not enough. So,
that's a great.
That's why you're a world champion, Giulio.
No, there's not. No, there's not that. But I mean, to me, to be doing both at the highest level, it's not possible. It requires, or maybe it's possible, but it requires a lot of investment in terms of people that work for you. So if you go in Tony, he has a lot of people working for him. So it must be a very, very high turnover location where you can afford. And there is going to be on the other side a confusion of the customer. So let's say arrive at a table and you start ordering. Okay, I order a Neapolitan pizza, and another of the same table will order a New York style. Then there's going to be another one that will order a pasta. Now, due to the fact that we are in America, where customers are very, very pretending and demanding that their food come out all together, to coordinate all of this, where on one side I have a minute cooking, and on the other side I have a 5 to 6 minute cooking. If the restaurant is big and there are a lot of orders, I see it very difficult to happen. So imagine that the crew must start making the pizza in the meantime and have another order, and the Neapolitan style will start to back it up because they have to wait that the New York style is going to be ready. So I see it not non-possible. Of course, everything is possible. If I can make one store, I can make in the same store both style, but it's going to be very difficult to coordinate and be successful with both.
All right, thank you guys. Here's a question, and I've kind of heard this question a lot, and I guess there's differences of opinion on it, but somebody asked, for cooking pizza, the best oven, would it be coal, wood, gas, electric, or is heat just heat? Or does the type of heat impart flavor?
Well, that's another question that I had, Daniel. Somebody from Julio Rodriguez. He wants to know what type of oven does Giulio have at his Neapolitan Express?
Okay, so maybe John could be probably more specific on coal, because I have to be honest. I never cook one pizza in a coal oven. Of course, for me, coming from Italy, wood is wood. I mean, first, heat is not heat, because there is also the propagation of the heat, so the way the heat is transmitted, top heat, bottom heat, and medium of the oven heat. Those are three important things when it comes to cooking pizza. So no, heat is not heat. But in general, a gas oven that cooks from the bottom will sit better Neapolitan and New York style, and an electric oven that cook both sides, it would suit better, for example, my metro style or a grandma pie, while a wood-fire oven that has a lot of heat on the top will suit better the Neapolitan style. Now it just born a new oven from a company in Italy called Izzo. That's the one that we use in Neapolitan Express and in Wall Street, actually, and we are providing the trucks at the same oven right now. This is the first electric oven with an open mouth, so it eliminates the open and closing of the deck. It has the same characteristic of any type of stone of Neapolitan pizzas or Neapolitan pizza oven. So it cooks in a minute. It's an amazing oven, but it's definitely not suitable for a New York style, because it has a very, very high temperature, low deck, and top heat. And New York style, as John can now point it out with his knowledge of coal, require bottom heat. Right, John?
Yes, and the coal ovens, of course, most of them had a separate fire chamber. But let's keep in mind that when Gennaro Lombardi came to the United States, he didn't choose a coal oven because he thought that was the best oven to cook pizza in. He chose a coal oven because that was what was available to him.
Of course.
So the new, so this tendency now to say, oh, coal is the best, or gas is the best, or electric is the best. A lot of times those decisions were made. Sometimes the pizza maker just found an oven somewhere, and he learned to use whatever was there and work with it, which of course changed the product. And I agree with Giulio. Heat is not just heat. You know, you can get 3 different ovens that are exactly the same temperature and will give you completely different results. So it's not just heat or the source of the heat. It's not just a matter of wood is better than coal, electric is better than gas, or whatever the argument is. You know, Tacanelli's in Philadelphia uses an oil-fired oven. You know, you don't see many of those around anymore. But it was just a matter of convenience, and little by little the pizza makers adapted. As Giulio said, you know, if they had the original pizza makers that came to the United States, if they had availability, they would have been making Neapolitan pizza. They wouldn't have been making coal-fired pizza. They wouldn't have been making crispy pizza. They wouldn't have been making pizza with all the different things that got added to it over time. Those were reactions to conditions that existed here. Their desire was to simply
make money.
Stay connected to the food that they had grown up with. They didn't deliberately go out and try to do something different. That happened, you know, as a necessity, as an adaptation to the conditions that they in the United States. So I think, you know, to say what's the best oven, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What characteristics are you looking for? You have to answer those questions first before you decide what, you know. Bonci in Rome, he uses electric ovens because that's the oven that, you know, that he has decided gives him the characteristics that he's looking for. So it's not just what type of oven do we want to use. It's first and foremost, what are you trying to achieve?
And that actually kind of brings me to a question that I saw on here, and I think it's a good question here by Bruce Chittick. What are the brands of some of these new Caputo flours that you're actually referring to here, that we're talking about?
What are the brands?
Yeah. I think Fred Mortati of Orlando Foods might be able to actually help us out with this.
Yes, John and Giulio have been really focused on 2 of the different items, because today a lot of the discussion was around Neapolitan and was also around, excuse me, the new bag of New York style, which John and Giulio were integral in helping us develop in order to create the American characteristics that we want in a lower temperature environment and a slower cooking pizza, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Crunchy, crispy, but we wanted to retain the Italian flavor and cleanliness and digestibility. So one of the products is we call it's a 00 flour also, which means it's a very low ash content, very pure product. And that product is called 00 New York style. It's a new item that we launched only within the last 6 to 9 months. The other product they talked about for the Neapolitan pizza is called 00 Pizzeria. On the slide, it is the one that is kind of front and center. It's the pizza that has the picture right underneath Mount Vesuvio. So those are the 2 primary products. There is a third product that Giulio mentioned. Other than the New York and the Pizzeria flour, he mentioned the Roman style, the Metro. Giulio also makes Pizza Metro, which is pizza by the meter, effectively. Like imagine a 3-foot-long pizza, which is a completely different style of dough. It's additionally a different style of oven. John just alluded to it with Bonci in Rome, where he makes a very high hydration flour mix with an electric oven. That's called Pizza Metro. So really there's 3 different items for the pizza. Pizzeria, which is a blue bag, Pizza Metro, which is a purple bag, and the New York style, which has actually the motif of the American flag on it and the Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay. There has been a couple questions about what the W strength does this have?
The New York style is around between 300 and 320. Okay. One thing that I do caution people when they look at specs, and if you go on CaputoFlour.com, you could actually get the specs for the various flours. I really caution adhering only to the specs. Caputo does one thing really different than most other mills, and if you ever visit there, you'd see it firsthand. They blend flours from different European regions in order to achieve a certain balance in the dough, and they buy wheat that is very high in protein, they don't add anything to it. They buy the wheat that has the characteristics they need. You spend a lot more money to do it, but the end result really proves to you that it's a better way to go. So their protein level sometimes can be lower than the protein level you read on an American bag. However, the quality of their protein is going to be generally higher, and therefore it will at a lower protein, at a 13% protein, Caputo is going to probably react like an American flour that's 14.5. So to be careful in only trying to buy it via specs. It's been designed to give these functions based on the bag. So the Pizzeria flour is about a 12%, 12.5%. It's for Neapolitan. It's elastic, like a higher protein, but it retains a softness and a flavor. The New York style is it's still higher protein than that. It's 13, 13.5. It's also elastic, but it will give you a little more softness. It's not going to be as chewy or tough as the American flour, but also it will take longer to rise. It doesn't have the same kind of additives and starters that the American flours have. So you know, there is definitely a trial and error period. I mean, and Giulio and John have been helping us also create some standardization in recipes, because sometimes you can't just take out your American flour and put this in and say, okay, my recipe works. There's some tweaking, and then, like anything, to get to the right balance, yes. I mean, these are pizza professionals, and the restaurateurs listening, you guys are pizza professionals. You have some trial and error, but we can assure you that the results we've seen, you'll like them.
All right, and I had another question from Jeanette. Is it all natural, not bleached, or is it bromated?
No, the flour is 100% all natural. It's ground wheat. The New York style has a tiny inclusion of natural malt. It's not enriched. It is not bromated. It is not bleached. There's no treatments. There's no conditioners. There's no additives. And that's also what retains the flavor. That's what makes it digestible. That's what that in order to make a flour that is like this, that is all natural, and it has a lot of stability, you really need to use the finest wheat, and that's what they pay for.
All right. I think we got a quick time for just a couple more questions. I really kind of like this question from Thomas here, and if we can keep our answers kind of short, it's New York pizza style is not going away. Obviously, it's too deeply rooted here in American culture. His question is, do you see a new American style coming forth? Is it more health conscious, or kind of the original root style pizza as opposed to a trend? I mean, just, you know, in about 20 seconds each, you know, Giulio and John, what are your answers for that? Is there a new trend coming forth, or is it deeply rooted in the culture?
I would absolutely. We're going to see a change. We're going to see a growing interest in healthier foods and cleaner flavors. I'm seeing it with my UNLV students. I have the opportunity to talk to young consumers every week in depth, and they're very interested in making sure that the things they put in their body are clean and healthy. And I don't think that's going away. I think this is an entire generation that's shifting to a higher level of consciousness about what they put in their bodies.
More of a merging of the two, you're taking the old and making it healthy.
Yeah, you know, in terms of texture, I don't think that's going away. I think Americans like crispy food, and if you have something that's crispy on the outside and it has a delicate crumb structure, like you can get from the new Caputo flour, I think then you're on track. You've got the best of all possible worlds.
Perfect. Giulio, what do you think about this? Is it a new trend, or you think it's kind of emerging in the two worlds? I know you said earlier it wasn't.
Well, definitely, John already said all. The new trend. The new trend is health.
Yeah.
And definitely, I bet with any of you who consider New York size slice something healthy, it would be like probably 1% of the population.
Well, man,
so,
yeah, and it's as you said, you know, Italians eat pizza, and you guys are less skinnier than we are. So.
Yeah, I mean, I eat pizza daily, one pizza a day, but I go very simple with it. And Yeah, there will be new trends coming. I mean, this is at least here in New York. This is New York. I mean, there's been the period when I came out with the fried pizza Montanara. There was there was the period in which I started the gluten-free trend, and then now the whole wheat soon is gonna come back because I have a lot of requests in my store about whole wheat. And in Italy, it's already launched a new trend on the zero type of zero, so kind of a double zero plus a little bit of fibers. So I guess that sometimes the trends are more because the requests get from customers that get bored that for a real reason. To me, the idea is giving to a customer a fresh product, healthy product that that express my country, because let's not all of us forget that pizza is an Italian product.
Sure.
And it's like if an American go in Italy and eat an hamburger, you will probably be disgusted. So if you just have to consider my face when first I tried New York style was that. I mean, that was my face. I still remember the first day I arrived in New York for a consulting, and because when I was coming in New York as a visitor, I never tried pizza. I never eat food, Italian food outside of Italy. But first time I arrived in New York, this company of PR brought me to come with me. We'll bring you to the good pizzerias. And the first the first place that brought me, of course, was Lombardi. I still laugh because I didn't try the pizza, and they say I look like a jerk, and I'm sorry for the term, but it's true. I mean, to me, it probably the same thing that would happen to an American. I'll bring him to eat a burger. He will look at it and say, "What's this? This is not a burger. This is not what we are able to do in America." And to me, it was the same thing. I saw all this color floating of margarine, and I just didn't want to try. I tried a little piece of crust, and it wasn't bad actually. But the topping is what was scaring me, because I'm very concerned with health, and that was that's the idea.
All right, well,
let's go back to healthy.
Yeah,
Brian, to close out, I just want to weigh in real quickly on the very end of this, because I think what both of John and Giulio said, you know, in as far as this trend goes, as an importer of these goods, I have to tell you, we're on the front line, and I see it every day. The expansion for the desire to have, you know, really high quality, clean products across the USA. We see it daily, and if it's being requested of us, it means that the consumers are the one asking the restaurants. It means that the restaurateurs are saying, look, I think this is what my customer wants. So we see it. It's alive, and it's there, and it's growing like crazy in all styles.
I see it too, and honestly, at this point, I just really want to ask Giulio, both you and Giulio and John, just for like 1 minute, what is your favorite pizza? Starting with Giulio, because I can't wait to hear this.
Domino's or Pizza Hut?
Oh, okay, you're fired. You're gone.
No, I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Really?
I'll give you a reason. Yes, I'll give you a reason.
Okay.
They sell 15 billion and 9 billion a year each in pizza. Who am I to say that they're no better than me?
Okay, but if you had to make your own pizza, what's the one?
If you ask me my favorite pizza personally, is still Da Michele in Napoli. And if we're speaking in America, I can go different from style. If it is a New York style, definitely Fara, no question. Is the one that resembles more the Italian flavor in a slice. And if I speak of Neapolitan, there are now a lot of very good ones. Me, Roberto. So yeah, the Fara definitely New York style.
All right, just 20 seconds. What are your favorite toppings on a pizza you made for yourself?
Hornell pepperoni.
What's that?
Hornell pepperoni, the natural one.
Wow. Okay.
On a New York slice with an Hornell pepperoni, the one that become curly. That's delicious. Yeah.
Wow. Would not have seen that coming. John, what about you?
Okay, this is going to sound like a commercial, but it's not. My favorite pizza in the world, and Giulio's not going to be surprised by this, is Giulio's Montanera. I think it's extraordinary, and
Thank you.
and he knows that I tell everybody that I run into that, you know, when they ask me about my favorite pizza, to me that, you know, that pizza is perfect in its simplicity and its execution, and there are other people that do it and do it pretty well, but his is extraordinary.
Thank you.
That's my you know, my last meal pizza would be that.
Thanks, John. You're always too gentle to me. Don't deserve it.
Well, we'd like to thank everybody who showed up for Caputo Flour's webinar, Bringing Italian Back to Pizza in America, hosted by PMQ Pizza Magazine, Caputo Flour, and Chow Tomatoes. I'd like to thank John Arena, Giulio Adriani, Fred Mortati of Orlando Foods, our tech guy Daniel Perea. If you have any other questions, there were several that we did not get to on this. We are saving it, and we can email you answers. We will ask these gentlemen what their answers are. We'll get back to you. The first 50 registrants will be getting that T-shirt, and one lucky person will be getting that 55-pound of New York pizza-style flour from Caputo. So please check your emails. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you guys next time at one of PMQ's webinar series. Thank you so much to Caputo and everybody who attended.
Thanks,
all
Brian.
our speakers.
Bye. Ciao, John. Bye.
Ciao, Giulio. I'll see you in Naples.
See you in Naples. Bye.